good Merry Christmas. Ready to get back after it with the NBA today. We're also going to be doing NFL first look for the Sunday slate. We're also going to do showdown stuff at some point. No hockey today, though. And MMA remains off for a couple of weeks. Golf is back in next week. So we're getting back into regular swing of things, hopefully right after the new year. Just a couple of interesting spots to kind of talk about here, and then we'll talk about the projections, and we'll also talk about, you know, early sims and things like that. But we'll get to the interesting spot kind of in a minute. But let's first start with we'll just go game by game here, and I'm going to look at my projections off on the left this time. I'm not going to share them, but I'll go through what's most relevant. So Charlotte, Washington. The top overall, well, I'm going to debate this with myself in a minute, but one of the top overall, am I sharing my screen? Yeah. One of the top overall plays on the slate is going to be Alexandre Sarr. If in fact he plays, you know, I'm looking at his note here. It says that he's questionable and he missed his last game. And then if he's out, then they put Valanciunas back in the starting lineup, also probably at 5,400. Now, Sarr has the benefit of also being power forward eligible, so that's what's going to make him one of the standout plays on the slate if in fact he does play. So we're going to start by just kind of inserting him into the list here. So let's put in Alexandre Sarr as the first kind of a good play. Remember, we don't really, at the end of the day, want to think about things in terms of plays. We want to think in terms, to some degree, in lineups, but also in portfolios and lineups. But let's start from the bottom up today, and we'll talk about some plays at least. Now, I imagine that if these numbers, you know, that plays, he's going to be pretty popular. But his early ownership projection is not that high. But it was a very, very early ownership run that I did, so keep that in mind. On the Charlotte side, well, we're going to get back to – I want to talk about another Washington guy in a minute, but the Charlotte side, you're getting your usual kind of okay projection out of the center position there as well, be it from Mark Williams at 4,900. We'll take a quick look at his game log just to see if this has been doing anything. I mean, he happened to have had some good games in very limited minutes, you know, 17 minutes, 19 minutes, 19 minutes. So, and he has a couple of duds here. Well, the duds when he played 11 minutes. So every single list, almost 2 points per minute. This is 1 point per minute, almost 2. So I think we could probably project him at 1.5 points a minute at this point, or at least hope. So if we can get him again, 18 minutes, I mean, he's in the ball game. And these types of plays are the ones that always kind of stick at my craw a little bit. But nonetheless, he is looking pretty good. Other guys with a little more upside from this game I want to look at again is it possible that Jordan Poole is a good play at 7,700? Let's take a look. What has he been doing recently? I'll tell you what he's been doing recently. He's been playing 36 minutes. So, you know, some of these games are good here. Like 46 would be good here. 51 would be good here. 37, 39, 37 would not exactly be great. There's a 58 ball there. It's a very, very good matchup against Charlotte. You can imagine there can be very little defense played in this game. So I don't mind that. And as usual, LaMelo Ball is going to look good too. I mean, this is a game that can really generate some no defense. So if you did something like this, you know, like a 4-man stack from this game, like 2 Charlottes, 2 Washingtons, it's not usually the way you think about the NBA, but you put like one kind of value piece and then one hey, what's up, Richie? Put one value piece and one, you know, high upside piece from both sides, and you could be kind of off to the races here. Okay. Let's take a look at Oklahoma City against Indianapolis here, or Indiana. And again, I first look at it, from a points per dollar perspective to see if anything stands out. I don't really see too much here, like from either side, either Oklahoma City or Indiana. So all we're really looking at is whether kind of a non-value play just has a good upside, to upside ceiling to make it worth it. So I guess Shea at 10-3 makes some sense. It does not a great point per dollar play necessarily, but as far as raw points go, he does look pretty good. So all else being equal, I would rather play LaMelo only because, again, you could have some guys on the other team in case that game goes to overtime or things like that. So I prefer actually LaMelo to Shea, but Shea, he looks obviously pretty decent. All right, so this Miami Orlando game is like a little annoying. So you have Jimmy Butler. It says he's doubtful, conditioning, personal. Once again, he's rumored to be in trade rumors, things like that. Doesn't know if he's going to travel to Orlando. Now, hopefully, they, for our purposes, they let us know if he's traveling or not. then we'll know at least, at worst 2.5 hours before the game, right? Whether he's playing. So that's certainly something to keep an eye on. And if he in fact gets ruled out, then all this other stuff, becomes in play. Now, Terry Rozier, he was out in the last game as well. So those are two pieces of news to keep an eye on. And if all these guys are out, then obviously Tyler Hero is going to show up as a very strong play at 7,900. Maybe even, you get the right group of people out. Maybe Alec Burks gets, the 24 minutes. And if you give me 24 minutes out of Alec Burks at 3,200, that's gonna look like a very strong play also. Duncan Robinson gets minutes. He was okay. So we just kind of have to keep an eye on this. Right now, assuming everybody plays, I'm not really getting to too much of that. Oops. Here. Nonetheless, that's the news there. Now, the Orlando news, or the Orlando situation is actually pretty interesting because, so you had not Carmelo, Cole Anthony, like 2 games ago, just came out of his shell, just completely randomly, and played. Not only did he get the full 28 minutes, but he went and just put up 62 fantasy points against the same team. So I wouldn't be surprised, as coaches being the kind of weird creatures of habit that they are. Maybe Anthony gets another shot at this team, coming off the bench and gets a little bit of a leash. And I don't even know a leash. You give him a shot in a situation like that, then he sort of self-correlates. If he continues to do well, they'll leave him in there for even more. So that's one piece to keep an eye on. The other piece to keep an eye on is somebody who got a start, his last game. That would be Trevelyan Queen. So he had 34 minutes against Boston in a very, very nice win on the 23rd, and 30 fantasy points, and they did not increase his price at all to 3,600. If in fact he gets the start again, I find it difficult to fade him. So keep an eye on that. If he does not get the start, boy, then I don't know what to say. I don't know if I'm going to get there. But if they just start him again, I think I just play him. So let's put him in here just so that we can keep an eye on these plays here. So again, Miami, we're watching for news as far as who's being injured, who's out between Butler and Rozier. And for Orlando, if Queen gets the start, I think it's all systems go with him. If he does not, who would otherwise get the start? Who did he start over? Actually, not even sure. Oh, was Gary Harris out? Is that what happened? He's been out. He's been out for like a month, so it's not him. I think maybe Anthony Black had been starting, but then no, he started on Saturday. Well, wait a minute. So let's hold on a second. So Jalen Suggs was out when he was out on the Saturday. Is that the story? Let's see this. Jalen Suggs was out. He played 15th, 19th, 23rd. Let's take a look at this Queen. Queen started on the 23rd. So he started alongside of Suggs. So they actually like him, you know. So I think that Queen is probably going to end up pretty popular if he starts. And if you want to get really, really off the board, you could be, you know, kind of narrative Queen, so to speak, and take that shot maybe at Cole Anthony. I think it's very, very reasonable. All right. As a matter of fact, I'm going to just so I remember, you know, later. I'm going to put this in for now. I mean, I don't know if I play both of these guys. I mean, it seems like this is exactly what happened. Like, I can't imagine both these guys being in the game. So I would be one. I probably have one of these two. Like if this was a game where someone was closing, kind of a close game, whatever, it would be Suggs and one of these two. Like if in fact Queen starts, Anthony comes off the bench and is playing really, really well. You know what I mean? That somehow, then they'd leave him in and Queen just wouldn't come back in. I guess I don't know. I don't know why I'm spending that much time on this situation, but I think it's interesting. Chicago, Atlanta. Let me see. It doesn't look like that much from this game is too intriguing. Let's take a look. I mean, I shouldn't say that. Trae Young and Jalen Johnson, for that matter, both seem like very good plays. Now, they're not values per se, but again, we're just looking at just kind of upside ceiling type guys. I think both of these guys look pretty good. It's a very, very easy matchup against Chicago, and as a result, they're projecting very, very nicely. Now, again, nobody really wants to play Jalen Johnson at 9K, which is probably going to keep his ownership somewhat down. Imagine he's only 200 less than Trae. I think people would rather find the 200 to play him. But if that's, again, going to keep Jalen Johnson's ownership to, say, the 10K level, which I'm seeing, maybe it's worth it. Then again, I am seeing Trae like 5 points higher projected. I mean, maybe it is a little bit too ambitious to play Jalen Johnson as opposed to just paying the extra 2 for Trae. But I think both those guys are good. Chicago, I think Zach LaVine at 7,100. I mean, just certainly nothing wrong with that, is it? I mean, you keep getting 34 minutes out of him. There's just going to be games where he does like stuff like this. You know, he'll put up a 50 every once in a while. He'll put up there's a 40, another 40. Doesn't happen as much as maybe it used to. 40, 45 to 56. So, but it's possible. You know, so again, like if you want to play like some kind of, you know, Trae with something else, you can play Trae and Zach LaVine. I think be well within your rights to do so. Let me just see. Did I miss anything? No. Okay, so Toronto and Memphis. Santi Aldama at 5,100 is showing up as one of the good values out here. So I definitely like that. John Morant, let me see. He always looks so cheap. Can I get 32 minutes? I mean, can I put myself in a position where he could be in the 50s as far as fantasy points go? Because that's what I need. I need him to have at least 30 minutes. It's just tough. It's just tough. So I imagine he's going to be like infinitesimally owned. Let me see what else. If I sort again by point per dollar, is anything else come up here? So just the Aldama. Oh, Zach Edey at 5,100. Another kind of decent value play. You can play at center. Like as a matter of fact, who would you rather play? Mark Williams at 4,900. It's an interesting discussion. Or Zach Edey at 5,100. Well, Zach Edey certainly looks like he's got a better minutes future, right? I mean, he had played 24 minutes 2 games in a row, and then played 27 minutes 2 games in a row, as opposed to Mark Williams, who's never even over 20. Now again, you can obviously see that Mark Williams is probably a better point per dollar play, but I mean point per minute play. But I don't know. Yeah, Zach Edey's got that. He's got that rookie upside. I think I prefer the Edey. And the only thing that's different is that again, Memphis is a funny team. They play unlike most teams in the NBA. By the way, one day we'll talk about that. Just as far as their offensive flow goes, they don't run a lot of high pick and rolls like most of the NBA does. They almost, I'm getting into my coaches speak now. They almost kind of like run like zone offenses. I think they have like fill and replace schemes where instead of running high pick and rolls to fill space, they'll create space naturally, and if people kind of fill from opposite sides, it's actually pretty interesting. They're going to be, I think they're going to be a tough out for teams as we get down to later in the season. I don't think the NBA people realize how kind of different this is. I don't know if people are really prepared to deal with this. And if one day Ja ends up 26, 20, 34, 35 minutes again, I don't think they necessarily have the talent to make a run or anything like that, but they definitely are difficult to scheme against defensively. Anyway, I don't like anybody on Toronto for DFS goes, so let's put Edey in for now. And before I forget, let's put Aldana in as well. I'm just checking back to see if you guys have any questions before I move on here. Nope. Okay. Because there's another team that's going to show up that's got a lot of value. And that's actually right here, this Houston team. So Houston against New Orleans, you have a couple of guys. Now, first of all, from New Orleans, you have Missy, I guess, at 5,900. Again, one of those kind of mid-range center plays. DeJounte Murray at 8,400 it looks reasonable as well. But a lot of the value for me is coming from the Houston side. So let's talk about that. Now, first of all, you have a couple of questionables. So, Amin Thompson at 6K, I think looks pretty decent here. I mean, he's coming off 46 fantasy points in his last game, 38 minutes. Am I going to expect that? I don't know about that, but certainly have to respect it if you don't have to expect it. Then you have Sengun. He's still relatively reasonably priced at 8,600. Now, I don't know if Terry Eason is in or out tonight. Terry Eason is questionable. I mean, if he's in, you could expect, forget this last game, you could expect him to be in the mid-20s in minutes. 4,800, I mean, he's got, you see it. I mean, he's got ceiling upside. He's got a 40 ball here. 30 is not exactly a ceiling. He's got another 40 over here. I mean, he could definitely do it. If he's out, then you have another piece of value in Cam Whitmore. I know, again, it just depends on the minutes, right? If Eason is out, and then I think that this 25 to 27 minute range for Cam Whitmore makes a lot of sense. And then you have a really, really good play at 4K. You could also play other guys in this game, like Jalen Green's price. So he's It's tough. You know, he's 6,300. 24 minutes obviously isn't going to do it. But if he gets any of these things in here, again, some of these games don't make it, but some of them do. So he could get in the mix. You want to be safe, you could play Fred Van Vliet from this game. He's less than 7K, and he's in his 30s, 30 minutes most games, right? He doesn't really been flashing a ceiling. I mean, only like maybe one game the whole season we really want here. Actually, that's not true. We had a couple. And then there was another one. Oh, you know, before I forget, on New Orleans, there's another possibility if you wanted. Jordan Hawkins is 4,400. And his last game, what did he do? Did he start? I mean, he played 34 minutes in his last game. So we got to keep an eye on this. We could go to Popcorn Machine and see exactly how that came to pass. But regardless of how he got his 34 minutes, he got his 34 minutes. Now, if he's going to start again, I mean, want to just see this? I want to see if we can't find this somewhere. Okay, let's just see. Let's see what this is. Oh, I can't even get up. There it is. Let's take a look. Let's see how Jordan Hawkins got his 34 minutes. He got his 34 minutes. Oh no, wait, this is 28 minutes. He got 28 minutes against the Nuggets. Why does it say 34 minutes here? So it says here that he had 34 minutes. But here, am I hallucinating? I mean, as best as I can tell, DraftKings does not know what the deal is because this is not 34 minutes. This is 28 minutes. So you have a, it looks like you have a misprint as far as Jordan Hawkins' minutes. So we can't project it for 34, obviously. I think 28 is reasonable. And 28 minutes, let's see. What does 28 minutes for him look like? $28 minutes for Jordan Hawkins. Never even seen him play 27, 28 minutes. It's always like one or the other. So 20. I think he's in play. You know what I mean? I just think he's in play. The 34 minutes, it's not 34, but even the 28 puts him in play. I just hate that it shows the 34 minutes. I'm afraid that he's going to get popular because of that game log. You want to try look at something else? You want to try look at ESPN for a second? Yeah, you know, let's do a little homework here. Let's go to just ESPN. We'll look up let's look up the team. We'll kick it old school. The Pelicans. And we'll go to this game, the Nuggets game. Let's go to the box score. The old box score. You'll see, let's see. Jordan Hawkins, minutes 34. So it says here he played 34 minutes. The Popcorn Machine, it says 28 minutes. Was this maybe overtime? And they didn't. Oh, they have an overtime. I want to add this somehow. So this is, sorry about this, but this is like interesting. 10, 17, 25. Hawkins. 2. Let's see the minutes. Period 1, 4:55. So that was 4 minutes. And then 13 minutes here. and then 18 minutes here, and then 24 minutes here, 28. So we don't know. You know what? He must have played the overtime, but Popcorn Machine just missed him. So I think he did play the 34 minutes. Okay. Well, thanks, Fizzy. You know what? But I'm glad that I checked, right? And this was the error in Popcorn Machine, right? Because you look at Popcorn Machine, it doesn't have a fifth player playing the overtime. But it's important to note that it was overtime, right? So I'm glad they did this. So it was really 28 minutes in regulation. So if things go his way, I think 28 minutes in regulation is something you can project him for. All right, very good. So in either case, this game is pretty intriguing, and it's also, one where you have to watch the injury report with respect to what's his name, Tari Eason. Because if Tari Eason plays, I think he's a good play. If Tari Eason does not play, then Cam Whitmore, I think, kind of steps up. And again, for New Orleans, I think that maybe Jordan Hawkins, for all that talk about him, we better play him. Right? And the other New Orleans, did we say there was someone else in New Orleans? I forget what we did. Yeah, and DeJounte Murray wasn't bad either. Okay. Last game of the night, Brooklyn against New York. I mean, you have Giannis out 2 games in a row. Boy, it would be really nice to know before too long whether he's going to be playing or not, right? And if he plays, he's going to be in play, right? I mean, he just is, but just don't know if he's going to be playing. And if he's out, then there's Bobby Portis season and all that stuff. So just going to have to kind of wait to assess what goes on with that. And as far as Brooklyn goes, I don't really see too much on the Brooklyn side. That pretty much nothing at all. So again, watch for news on the Milwaukee. Watch for news for Giannis and all of that. Now, I hate to say this, but it's a little bit for me to build a lineup. It's a little bit irresponsible because there's so much news left. I mean, if we built it assuming that all the guys that are supposed to be in are in, I'd be getting like, you see this, I'd be like 88% Alexandre Sarr. I'd be getting like 82% Trae Young, 82% Aldama. Ooh, 58% Levine. That's interesting. A lot of Amin Thompson. These are all the guys we talked about. And Trevelin Queen, like 43%. What I have to think about is a couple of things. Number one is if in fact Trevelin Queen is not starting, is he still worth playing? As a matter of fact, you want to take a look at that real quick. So let's take a look at as long as you're looking at Popcorn Machine anyway. Let's look at the Orlando rotation. Let's see how that all happened. All right, game flow. So Trevelin Queen literally played exactly like a starter would play, right? I mean, not exactly, but pretty much. So he was just part of this. Now, interestingly, so he was starting, and then you had Cole Anthony came in, it looks like straight for KCP, and he did nothing and didn't come back until the second half, in which case he again came in for KCP. Then he stayed in, entering the fourth quarter. What a lineup this was to start the fourth quarter, huh? Wendell Carter Jr., Jonathan Isaac, the two bigs, with Black, KCP, and Cole Anthony as Suggs sat on the bench there. So Trevelin Queen was just in, then he sat, then he came in, then he started the second half. He sat a little bit, then he closed. I mean, this is what you know, a new star. Looks like a star, whatever. This is what a new guy who they expect to be in the rotation kind of looks like. So I think that if he starts again, I'm going to be expecting full run at 3,800. So, yeah. I think, all right, I think that's pretty much all I have for you guys. I'm going to come back at 1 o'clock. We're going to talk about, what am I going to do? The NFL preview.